I was heavily into drugs and alcohol, and it was pretty much ruining, smashing everything of any value to me. And this was,
how old were you?
20, from approximately mid to late 20s, this period. And so this was a progressive sort of period where there was a lot of destruction, and so turning round and coming out of that with a lot of help and a lot of structure and process, and not returning to that, that was a very definitive turning point for me. It's almost like a life with two halves. There was this life before reaching the age of 29, and then there was this life from that point onwards, and it continues. And so two radically different existences for me. So that fundamentally was the biggest. It was a very, very dark and just depressive time, and for a lot of other people as well, because I'll be honest with you, when you're kind of in that, Ajay, you're not a lot of fun to be around. So everybody
Hey everyone, I am Ajay Tambe, the host and producer of Create Your Use Starting podcast, and today I have with me a very talented artist, Mark Collier, on the show. Welcome to the show, Mark.
Welcome, Ajay. Thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
Okay, great. To everyone, I just want to inform that Mark was a part of our very most closer to my heart series, the series that went for 12 episodes. He played in the, I guess you ended the series, right?
Ended. Yep.
Yeah. He was the one where the series got ended. The series finale for the Knights of Avalon. He was part of the Knights of Avalon, one of my favorite series, and it was our Christmas and New Year special. That's where I got connected. He was, I guess, you were shooting for some film, right? You were on set at that point.
At the time, I was halfway through shooting a horror film, and
horror film.
Yeah, I remember.
I guess you were in the car, or no? You were there, but
it was the car.
Right.
You had to step off set, get in the car, and then we negotiated the details around the story.
It was
cool.
It was very quick decision, and very end of the schedule. I was looking for artist, and that's where we got connected, and he was in the shoot. Hey, okay, what's the thing? Okay, I'll be there. And that's where we figured out it was, I guess, in the month of December, I guess, or October, November end, around that. But that's where you were shooting, and that's where we decided today's 27th, and we are here. So So first of all, tell me what's going on today. What's your schedule? What's happening
today? Very casual, AJ. Just been to the beach with the dog, and it's sunny here, so you may just hear them barking in the background. But so I've got no real plans. I'm just going to take it easy and get a few jobs done at home. So it's a nice Saturday, relaxed.
Oh yeah, it's a weekend for you. So any film project that you're working on at this moment? What are the projects?
I'm just preparing for another feature film, and it's a Christmas film.
Wow!
So
that's good.
Yeah, obviously we're filming now because we clearly need the winter landscape. But of course it won't be released obviously till next Christmas. And I play a grumpy uncle.
Oh, great. I love Christmas movies. I have a bunch of lists that I just saved it. There's a lot of films that releasing on Netflix, these days.
Yes.
So I just saved all those Christmas movies to watch whenever I get time.
Cool.
And I was planning, but somehow this Knights of Avalon happened. There was no plan of Knights of Avalon. It just happened. I was looking for something Christmassy, but this happened. Okay. So here's the thing. Here's the thing. You started as a safety coordinator, 2006, right?
Well, that is true in the film industry. But at the time, I was actually employed by London Underground on the Tube, and I for many years was a trainer on the Tube, and periodically I would get called in on overtime to safety coordinate shoots on the disused stations. So I was kind of getting a taste of filmmaking, but I was still employed by London Underground, and they were some great shoots I was involved in. Got to meet a lot of great actors and watch a lot of films take place. So that was my first run at working on a film set.
So I got the whole idea. Can you help our listeners more in simple way what a safety coordinator is and what he do on the set or overall the job?
Well, anybody that's been on a set will understand that when a director or a first AD, certainly a DOP, director of
Mm-hmm.
photography, wants a certain shot, they do whatever it takes. And
Mm-hmm.
the problem with that is when you're working on a tube station with electrified rails and moving trains,
Yeah.
it's not possible. So in simple terms, I had to make sure that they didn't take any unnecessary risks or cause any
Oh,
injuries,
yeah,
basically.
yeah. So you make sure that that shot, that DOP is going to make it happen. You
Yeah,
play a very important job that it doesn't go wrong. It makes
exactly.
it making sure that this thing, that 10-minute scene or
Yeah,
5-minute scenes or even 15 seconds, that should be
yeah,
done properly, and you are the guy who's managing that no mess happens when they are shooting.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
It's
great.
it's safe conduct on set. Yeah,
Okay, great. Sounds good. Sounds good. So, Mark, before we jump on how you transitioned from safety coordinator to now a professional actor, you're doing a lot of films,
yeah,
proper films, and you started as someone who is just managing the job behind the scene,
yeah.
behind the screens and all. I'd like to jump on to your childhood days as you grew up in East London, right? East
Correct.
London, Hackney, and you
Yes.
born in 1970s. So 70s, I guess you grew up in 80s and
Yeah.
most of the 90s. How was your childhood? How were you as a kid?
If I'm honest, AJ, I was a bit of a wayward kid. In other words, I was normally getting into trouble, and
Whoa.
yeah, it's a colourful past. And
Yeah.
basically, it was a great place and a great time to grow up in
Hmm.
East London, and
Hmm.
I absolutely loved it. And so,
Okay.
I skipped school a lot of the time, and I was just getting up to no good.
Okay.
It's
Were you going good in sports? What is the thing? Cricket? What was the thing with you?
not really. I loved cars. I loved,
Cars.
yeah, from a very early age. So I
Okay.
really
Okay.
wasn't interested in sports, but I was
Got it.
kind of learning to drive at 14, 15 years old on private land and, all
Oh, got it.
sorts. Yeah. And so,
Driving cars and driving was the
and,
thing that
and
was.
yeah, working on them. So, and, just kind of rolling with the crowd like you do
Rolling.
in
Mm-hmm.
East London.
What was your first job? If I count you, I guess 2021 you get to start jobs and all. What was the
No,
first job
actually,
that you did?
I was 15.
15. Oh, go
Yeah,
on.
and I actually started my first job full time was building kilns, which you put pottery and clay,
Oh,
so that fires
okay.
up the clay. And the
Uh-huh.
kilns were
Got it.
something that I was employed to spray with paint
Mm-hmm.
on the
Mm-hmm.
outside. Very, very dull job,
Oh,
but that was
so
my
so
first job.
okay, got it. And then I guess more with driving and all that you told me about.
That came, yes, and
Yeah. So I guess what led to safety coordinator? What
oh,
was that?
well, that was part of a job that I'd actually worked a long time
Mm-hmm.
in with London
Mm-hmm.
Underground, and
Mm-hmm.
it's very safety orientated
Yeah.
organisation because of the nature. And so, what I did was actually develop on the tube to becoming an instructor. So I would train
Okay.
the train drivers to drive the trains and fix them when they were broke. And so that all encompassed an element of safety and coordination with
Oh.
procedures.
Mm-hmm.
So that was simply the basis for being able to do the same job, whether it be a film set or running a
Okay.
station. It was the
Oh,
same. So that
it was the
that
same.
that kind of gave me the I guess
Mm-hmm.
the skills to do what was necessary.
God. So I guess the work that you're doing was the same, but you changed the industry,
Yeah,
yeah. Just the shift in industry where the requirement was the same. So you
yeah,
grabbed up that opportunity very quick, and you were good because you had experience, like I guess a lot of years of experience that
absolutely.
only helped you to become a pro in that particular field. And
Yeah,
then you transition to be a safety coordinator, what we call in this industry terms, which is in
right.
film industry. That's what we call these people. Okay,
Yes,
so this was the transition for you.
yeah.
So
That
now,
was the basis.
okay. So
Yeah.
in the you never went to college? What was the
No,
thing?
I
No.
left school at 15.
Mm-hmm.
No college,
No
no
college.
university. No, I left school without a single. I don't know. I managed to do it, but I left without a single qualification.
Oh God. Oh, so what was what? Why you
Um,
left?
I
Was there
hated
any
school.
reason?
Yeah, I hated school
Oh,
with
hey.
a passion, and I
Okay.
did absolutely my best not to be there. And I would
Mm-hmm.
spend hours and days in the West End of London. Just I would skip school, jump on a bus, number 6 to
Okay.
the West End, and I would just wander around places like Leicester Square, Soho, Oxford Street. I was lured. I love the West End.
Oh God, you living the life. That was the thing for
Yeah,
you.
pretty
Yeah,
much.
yeah, pretty much that. And you made it on your own. Whatever you did it by
Absolutely.
what skills you had. There was no degree or there was no anything. You went, then
No.
you learned. It was just happened by experiences, and
Yeah.
I guess that's the path you took for yourself,
That's
rather than
exactly.
rather than going for institutions. You just went for it. So in this
Absolutely.
whole period of you being you're leaving the school basically, not
Yeah.
interested in any subject.
I'm done. Yep.
So how this acting thing, or like connection with films, anything was there going on in back of your mind? What was
Not
that? Something
not in
related to films, or just enjoying
yeah,
films?
enjoying them. I mean, I was a film nut, and
Oh.
I didn't really have a vision of getting involved.
Mhm.
But since I was, since I can remember, I was an absolute film fan. And, I grew up on seeing all the greats in the cinema, the first Star Wars, Jaws, all the Clint
Yeah,
Eastwood films, the Every Which Way.
that was a peak of those period.
It was absolutely a world that I loved. And when I
Yeah.
stepped into a cinema, it was like, I felt, yeah, this is the place to be. And we got a VCR very early, turn
Mhm.
of the 80s, so 80. I was about
Okay.
10.
Mhm.
And, my dad, let's just say he managed to get hold of certain films before they should have been. And so
Okay.
I was kind of watching films a lot of the time. And
Lot
so
of films.
I'd sneak in the drawer and drag out the next film and watch it. And, so
Yeah, you a movie lover. That's the thing that you
absolute
used to
movie
love.
lover.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I guess that was the period, that was the peak period of the Star Wars
Oh, yeah.
and Star Trek. I guess there's a whole series of
All
12,
of it.
15, 20 years of
Yeah.
cinema that really changed the whole thing, I guess.
Absolutely.
That also made you, okay, this is the thing I really love.
I loved
And
it.
that was a period where it was make believe, that was the
Yeah.
world. Now it's like
Absolutely.
more spread out, with OTTs and all. We have like everything going around every single week, every single day. There's a lot
Yeah.
of punching of films nowadays. Back in
Of
those
course.
days, there was limited. Okay, that was
Yeah.
a good thing, and there was no
Absolutely.
internet.
No, there was nothing but just either at a VCR or you took
Yeah,
yourself to the cinema,
got it,
Um,
got it.
so yeah,
Yeah, now we jump. I got the whole idea. I got the whole journey of you in your words, like how you became safety coordinator. What
yeah.
was your relationship with the movies and all? And I guess when you became, I guess it was the period where you around early 2000s, right? So or mid of first 5 years, 6 years. And what led you to go and choose acting? How this transition happened? What was going through your mind when you
Well,
decided to, okay, I want to do acting now and
I,
not just to be a safety coordinator?
yeah. I mean, as I said, the safety coordinator kind of role
Mm-hmm.
was parallel to a job that I was still in, which was with London Underground. So
Mm-hmm.
I kind of had the full-time job. The safety role was a nice introduction and something to do, as you say,
Mm-hmm.
which kind of like allowed me to see what's going on a set
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
experience it. When I left the Tube, the London Underground job,
Okay.
I retired from there fairly early, 49 I was, and
Okay.
I wasn't sure entirely what to do next. And, so as you say, I'd had a taste, I knew what was going on. I thought,
Yeah.
actually, I'm going to try and step into the support artist role, what
Oh,
most people refer to as
yeah.
extras,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it allowed me to get back on set and
Mm-hmm.
see and from a different angle be involved.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so when I decided that was what I was going to do, I also thought, well, why not do the whole thing? And actually, I'm gonna
Okay.
I'm gonna try acting as well. And so
Uh,
I literally took on the whole idea in one
mm-hmm.
swoop. I thought I'm going into this completely.
Let's go all in.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that literally was only a few years ago, and
Yeah.
it's
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 been an
yeah,
amazing
it's a
journey.
game changer for you. Yeah.
Oh
when
well,
when I yep. When I
it
see your
wasn't the
work, and
plan.
yeah. It's whole different journey for you. And one more thing, was there anyone who told you or suggested you from your work life that, hey, why don't you? Was there, or it was just you own,
Ju-
like your own
Just me.
decision? Just
Just
me.
me. Yeah,
Okay.
Jay. I honestly can't remember, and
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have any situations where I could even demonstrate what I was
Okay.
capable of, where somebody could make that comment. So I
Mm-hmm.
literally walked in cold, and it was much like when I left school. It was a
Oh,
decision, and it was
yeah.
like, that's what I'm going to do. And
Good.
just,
Yeah.
the
It
fact
was
that
big shift for you. It was big
oh,
shift. There was
it
big
was,
transition. And
it was,
yeah, yeah. And just go tell me, how was this transition? What was the learning? What was, there is a phase where you just changing, and that is the phase that's very challenging. What was that period, the transition phase for you from
um,
safety to just being in the films? What were the
well,
learnings?
it was on much like any job I've learned by doing, and this was no
Hmm.
different. So I was kind of
Hmm.
experienced and
Okay.
with that process, because it didn't phase me that I had no drama class, no
Oh.
acting qualifications,
Hmm.
no formal training in
Yeah.
acting.
Yeah.
That just didn't phase me, and I just thought, well, okay, I'm just going to go into this and let's do it
Hmm.
wholeheartedly. And if I'm no good at it, AJ, I figured they'll soon tell me. And so,
Wow. So
which,
so that this is good. This is good. This is the very different way to approach acting.
yeah,
The exercise for your eyes and the brain was already happening from years and
yeah,
years, because you were observing. You were very close to DOP and handling that whole scene
yeah,
happening in front of your eyes. It was
yeah,
not very different for you. That whole exercise that an actor does was happening in front of you for a very long time.
I
So
guess, yeah,
that you
subconsciously.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And that really because you have to handle like very the things that can damage the whole process of making a scene happen.
Yeah,
That's why you are very hand-eye coordination, what we can say. The brain is connected with the eyes, and whole thing is observing not to let this go into the mess. That's
yeah,
why I guess that really helped in the other way, that you were
yeah,
not aware that you can do this as a form of acting.
right,
And that's where I
exactly.
guess you really, yep, and I guess that's really what connected you, and you never had a second thought of, what if I can't do,
No,
yeah. Yeah,
no,
you never
there
had
was,
that. There
well,
was no thought.
I, I guess, see, I mean, with all due respect, and obviously, where it's due is certainly with somebody starting out. I understand,
Mhm.
and I've learned a lot over the last couple of years. And
Yeah,
as an actor, if I guess you're starting from drama school in your 20s,
yeah, yeah.
or heading towards your 30s,
Basically everybody.
and yeah, you've got a lot of more pressure. And
Yeah.
I am in a position, I realize it, that pressure to some extent has been removed, because I'm
Hmm.
entering this industry
Yeah.
later in life, and
Hmm.
I've kind of brought the kids up, the families off and
Yeah.
running. The
Hmm.
career was set, so a lot of things were not
Different,
riding.
I guess.
Yeah, they weren't riding on the success or
Yeah.
the outcome of this
Mm.
venture.
It's
So,
like,
and
okay, I need something.
yeah, and basically that was the chosen something. And uh, I didn't have the pressures. It was almost like, well, we have a
Yeah.
saying in London: in for a pound, in for a penny, or in for a penny, in for a pound. And
Yeah.
it was like, if this doesn't work out, I'll just do something else.
Yeah. Yeah. So now just tell me one thing. Take me to that first moment of where you were doing this first job, actually, first
Ac-
acting job. Who hired you? What was the thing? Who called you? Where you auditioned? What happened? That particular first one only.
It was the one that has not long been released, actually. Burnt Flowers. It's a kind of
Yeah, you
noir,
mentioned your favorite
yeah,
projects.
noir, yeah, and that's why, because it's the very first acting job I got,
Yeah.
and it was made by a really good film director, Mike Forster. He's independent,
Mm-hmm.
filmmaker, and this project was daunting, because I managed to audition, and then got invited to a second audition, and then
Oh.
something really strange happened, AJ. They said, "We'd like to give you the part," and it was like, "What?
Wow.
What? Are you sure?" And so at this
Yeah.
point, it was like, "Oh, okay." And I got sent the script, and it was one of 5 leads, and so there
Mm-hmm.
was quite some scenes and some
Oh.
dialogue. And
Mm.
I looked at the script and thought, that was the first moment. It was like, "Oh, this is really happening then.
This is
This is
happening.
this is
And
happening." And
what was your feeling? Like excited,
um, excited,
joy? What was it?
scared, joy,
Scared. Yeah.
trepidation. It was
Mhm.
all on. And
Mhm.
but it never. It, I never think. I never sunk into a sort of, "Oh my God, no, I don't want to do this." I don't remember ever.
Oh,
And
oh, that's
I
good. That's really good.
I did all the preparation that I could,
Yeah.
based on what little and, well,
Yeah.
non-existent training I
Mhm.
had. And
Yeah,
I took it.
that's really
I,
good.
I
That's
took
really
the
good.
advice, yeah, of one
Yeah.
or two people, and got going. And the first
Mhm.
day on set, I rolled up, and it was a very sort of close set. It was just me and one actress, and I got talking. Very nice lady, and I thought I best not tell anyone that I've never done this before. So I didn't,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I
That was really tricky for you.
I'm from
Yeah,
East London, so
like
I
it
can
would happen, go other
uh,
direction.
yeah, exactly. I can kind of talk my way out of a few things. So I thought, if asked, I'll just dance around the subject, and we just got going. And
Yeah.
the very first time, I can vividly remember that the clapper went, and
Mhm.
Mike said action. The very first time, I thought, wow, this is a feeling I've never experienced.
Yeah.
This is electric, and
Yeah.
I love it. So I knew straight
This
away, yeah,
this is good. This is good. So,
this
now tell me. So now tell me. Do you do any guidance to the fellow safety coordinators nowadays, or you
no,
have there? How's the
no,
connection now?
no,
What do you
I
do
don't.
with those?
Yeah, I tend not to cross the lines.
Oh yeah. Good.
Not really. No,
Anytime
no,
any expertise of you are used for fellow mates, if they need, do you do, or there's still now no one has approached for that particular?
no, not really. I mean,
Not really.
because if you're working on a well-organized set, which
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
best part you are,
Hmm.
all of these things are taken care of. So everybody
Yeah.
knows what their role is. Everybody
Yeah. That's good.
knows what they're there to do. So
Hmm.
yeah, definitely don't want to step on any toes, AJ.
Got it. Got
And
it.
so,
Oh,
but if somebody
sometimes
asks, I
yeah,
would.
yeah. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes, I mean, like it's sometimes it may happen. So I thought it happened, but it didn't. So
No,
I guess everything's good.
yeah,
Everything's good. So now, yes, Jen, you are someone who were behind the scenes safety coordinator. Um, there's no something that you want to achieve. Everything was settled pretty much for you.
pretty
Now,
much. Yeah,
you were just looking for to do because that's why we live, to do
yeah,
something in life.
absolutely.
So now you got a job, you're doing
Yeah.
acting, everything is going perfect, like you got it. Now, here's the thing, tell me, what's your process of preparing for a role, or just like you got your first film, preparing for audition, preparing the process of preparing for a character. And now I'm curious how you prepared it, because you have a very different background, like different story of watching films and making things, seeing things happen in happening in your front of in your front.
Yeah.
You see things happen in your front. Now, what's your process of
Um,
approaching and preparing for a character?
well, first things first. I mean, naturally, reading the entire script really helps,
Hmm.
and even though there may be only sort of a number of scenes, but the big picture. And I've got to be honest, a lot of my I guess inspiration slash guidance is
Hmm.
just the sheer volume of movies and actors that I've literally studied over the years. Like I don't just watch
Oh,
a film, I really get involved in a film, and I'll
how
critique a
this
film,
happens.
or yeah, exactly. I'll talk about a film post watching,
Hmm.
and so I see a lot of things, or have seen a lot of things, and I've stolen a lot of things, and
Oh, okay.
absolutely. I mean,
But yeah,
anybody
that's your story. That what are you going to do about that? That's
exactly.
how you that's how you look at that particular frame,
Yeah,
because
and
and that's what you have in your bank, I
yeah,
guess.
exactly,
This is how you perform, and this is what how you prepare for yourself, because that's one part of approaching towards anything related to character. You have
absolutely.
watched particular films and you think like, okay, this is relatable to this particular character. I've seen this happening. I can try this in my character, and
Yeah,
that's how you prepare for a role and audition. So,
absolutely.
is there any change from your first film to now when you go for audition or prepare for a character?
Yeah, I mean, experience comes a lot more insight, and
Hmm.
obviously over the years, just like burnt flowers,
Yeah, yeah,
the whole experience was almost like a an apprenticeship. It's like
yeah.
I'm learning by doing, and
Mm.
quite literally, I did see that film not so long ago, and I was interested to find out how that looks, because the
Oh,
direct
yeah,
the director put it on the shelf while he got on with other projects. So there was at least 2.5 to 3 years
yeah.
between
Hmm.
um, actually finishing that, and so it was very interesting. And but just picking up on quicker ways to achieve the results you're
Yeah.
looking for,
Hmm.
methods that I've learned from so many wonderful actors that I've worked
Yeah.
with and continue to watch, and I've also extended, obviously. So I guess my process has become more
Faster.
detailed, yeah, and slicker.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Got
So
it. Got it. So you go more deep now,
yeah,
and you
absolutely.
get
And
things faster. before, like
Yeah,
compared
and
to before?
exactly,
Yeah,
preparation is more slick, and
yeah,
I'm an absolute lover of
yeah.
observing people. I mean, I'm talking
Mm-hmm.
everybody everywhere, and
Yeah,
I can sit and have a coffee in a coffee shop and just quite happily watch people for
yeah.
30 to an hour, just not in a weird way.
Observation. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
get it. Everyone, every professional actor do this kind of thing.
Yeah,
Observation, really important part of actors' whole process. And I guess you got it. You got it. You try it
yeah,
out, and you like everyday life, you use that as a tool to grab it and put it in your bank. Okay, this I see this
absolutely.
happening.
Yeah.
And when you realize you're good at observation, okay, this is one thing I can use. When you realize that observation part of your journey.
I've always been
Oh, good.
an
Okay.
observer. So
Okay.
we're talking. I would mimic and observe people since I was a kid. So it's been a lifelong.
Oh,
So
like it's been with you
it's
forever.
it's completely natural, and
Mm,
I love the nuances of just everyday people, just watching people, and especially
okay.
in East London, there's some real characters, and so I can draw
Good.
on a multitude of people that I've interacted with or come to know or meet,
Mhm.
um, worked with,
Yeah,
and bring something that I've spotted in them to any character that I think
got
it
it,
would
got
fit.
it. Now
Yeah,
I know. Now I know. You're good in mimicking. You're good in like the small nuances. You capture them very fast. I guess
yeah,
that's really one part of you that got you first film. I guess that's the first part.
must
Like I
be.
guess you are very good at it. That's why I guess you can grasp very faster compared to some other guys. That's
Yeah,
really a good part that you have, and you had no idea it existed inside you
no
for a
idea,
very long time.
no
But now
idea.
when yeah, no, once you entered into acting, it just became okay. It was there
Yeah,
for you, and once you got you used it very perfectly.
yeah.
Great to know that.
That's
uh,
that's the first time I've actually sat and thought, speaking to you, that's actually
oh.
where that's probably come into very good use. And
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, that yep. This is something that we have, like of the observation that you told.
yeah,
That's very best part of every actor who is performing and professionally. uh, that's the first part, and that's the important part: attention to details, watching things, catching the nuances. And
yeah,
one of them, you have it, you can capture that one part which is like very small, mimicking the part. Then you know
yes.
how to capture that particular scene. And I guess
We
it was
try.
going inside.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was going inside you for a very long time. It was with you, and now
yeah,
you have opportunity to use it.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's great. That's great. Thank you for sharing that. Now, here's the thing. uh, can you describe your process of getting into characters which are different from you? For example, you get a character. Most of the times, I guess you get selected to the part because it is done by casting coordinator, I guess, casting directors and all.
Yeah.
So you get a part where they know this guy fits for this. But now I guess over the years you have good kind of connections and networking with people. Some may approach you just because they know you and your work, and they just want to experiment with you, or they try to, hey, this is other part and
Yeah.
it is different. You ever got approached for character which is opposite from what you are, or you always had that kind of characters? How you approach something which is opposite of what you are?
um, yes, and I think that the one character that just fits the description you've just laid out,
Hmm.
AJ, would be for a film that I did, and it was the lead role, and I played a man who uses a wheelchair, who injured himself during a ballet performance. So
Okay.
I've never done ballet. I have no
Oh.
idea what it is to be a wheelchair
Oh.
user. Not
Oh.
firsthand, of course, obviously.
Yeah.
And 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 this guy was suicidal. So this was kind of like, wow, okay, this is three for three. And
Hmm.
so I've had I've had a lot of experiences in my life, and
Oh.
I've drawn on most of them. And in the
Hmm.
job I've dealt with people with suicide. Um,
The trauma
I've, I've
part.
I've been around suicide, yeah, especially on the underground, and I also was to some extent involved in what they call equality training for
Okay.
people that and so I was starting to draw on all of these experiences, what it
Hmm.
is to be in a wheelchair, and not
Okay.
not have the usual access. So I guess, like we were just talking about,
Yeah.
I really just had to start, sort of scanning my own experiences first
Yeah.
to try and figure out
Hmm.
if I've got anything that I can use
Yeah.
and contribute to the character. And if there's nothing there, then I will literally just do some research and
Yeah.
try and sort of get some information
Yeah.
on that particular sort of personality, or
Yeah.
somebody in that sort of position. And so, but yeah, the director was really really pleased with what we came up with. So
Yeah. I guess.
I guess we did a good job,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because he was very helpful, because obviously, like any actor will be
Mm-hmm.
reliant on a number and a degree of notes and of course direction. So because they
Yeah.
have a vision of what this person looks like,
Yeah.
so do you
And
as
I
an
guess,
actor.
yeah, I guess the part that you mentioned, where you actually being around that thoughts of suicide and
Yeah,
people who are looking to do suicide, uh,
yeah,
that whole period is filled with trauma. That
absolutely.
period where when you check that person's brain, it's completely opposite of what you expect from normal guy. There's a
Yeah,
lot of negativity around him, and there's a lot of not feeling anything of from anything. And I guess that trauma that you had, it no one can forget that particular person or that particular period. The trauma is really huge. And I
oh yeah,
guess that the moment you told me about it, I got convinced, like, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. Okay, he
right,
has been around that particular aura of having a suicidal thoughts, or not being able to do anything. For someone who is on wheelchair, someone who is
yeah,
dancing and then going back, there's no motivation left. And I
right,
guess that's very powerful thing that you have with you, the memory recall, what we
yeah,
can say, because you can recall those moments. The moment you recall it like it's happening now around you. You
right,
make them into existence. And I guess that's what help you to make it happen in front of
absolutely,
director. Yeah,
yeah,
I guess, and that's what is helping you out, because you can recall them and in a very specific way that it comes into existence, because you
yeah.
have very good memory recall. And I guess that's one thing that's helping you out in
It's
approaching.
it's
Yeah.
very useful. Plus,
Yeah.
the decades of life experience, because
Yeah. That's what
I
acting is.
yeah,
It
exactly, yeah,
requires that.
definitely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I guess
Uh,
to some extent, sorry, that's kind of like the I guess the difference in the approach, if coming out of drama school, or if coming out of
mhm,
university at 23,
mhm, mhm.
or starting in this industry
Yeah.
early 50s, then you know um, what's different there is ultimately life experience. And
Yeah.
so
True. True. So true. It's all about life. Once you get the experience, you can connect and you can bring that whole thing as a skill,
yeah,
and that's what is important. You can convince people. The power of convincing people
yeah,
can happen with your experience. And I guess you're doing that, and you have that particular experience of, I guess, a
yeah,
large number of years, and that is making easy for you compared to other guys who are not in that phase but just researching XYZ. That's
yeah,
different process. You have a good bank of experiences where you can just
yeah.
search the year, open a file, and then bring
Like
out
a
that thing.
Rolodex. Yeah,
I was going to talk about burnt flowers, but I guess
sure.
you told me how that project happened, and I guess
Yeah,
that makes everyone realize why that film is special. And you told me how it happened, so I guess that question we got covered. Now we'll
yeah,
jump to some one other question, which is about in projects like Cinderella's Revenge and
yeah,
A Thousand Blows. You have worked with notable figures like some personalities like Natasha Henstridge,
yeah,
Stephen Graham,
yeah.
what is that? Mal Chigarbi? How you call it?
Macaulay.
Ma-
Oh,
Malachi.
Malachi.
Malachi, is it?
Malachi. Yeah,
Malachi.
Malachi.
Okay, okay,
Yeah, yeah,
okay. I had no idea. That's why I was going to confirm. Malachi Kirby.
yeah,
And these are some people with experiences and with star power, and people recognize them. They have a good amount of
sure.
work experience, been in popular projects, and are personalities with experience that you can just be around them and learn a
Yeah,
lot of things. Just be around their work process and all, and you can learn a lot of how they approach things.
yeah.
What were some key takeaways from working alongside with such experienced actors?
And you've said it really in a nutshell, because when they actually work, I'm watching them like I watch a lot of
Yeah.
people,
Uh-huh.
and
Yeah.
I also like to see the communication that takes place. And what I've taken from a lot of actors is the way in which they interact with directors and directors of photography, DOP, because what you see in front of the camera is naturally what the actor brings and delivers, and to see that you can see it, but you might not necessarily know what the process internally is at that moment in time. But when they start discussing what they're going to do with the director or with the DOP, then you start to actually you get an insight as to what is going on internally, and so that for me is a golden opportunity, and I love to seize that. And Natasha, she was an absolute dream to watch work, and it was really great being because I was a day player on this particular film, and so it was just perfect that the one day I'm actually working on this film was in a scene with her. So that was like woohoo. And very down to earth, very relaxed, and she actually she pulled a joke on me. I don't know if you're familiar with her films Species, the original Species one, and so I kind of during the conversation says, "Oh, I actually went to the cinema to see your your break film, if you will, Species," and she looked and she said, "I wasn't in that," and I went, "Yeah, I'm sure you were." She's like,
okay.
It's like, "Oh, you had me."
Shit.
And so we were just talking about that, and just to kind of like discuss how a scene is going, and
just light moments you have.
Yeah, exactly. And they're really, really great, grounded people, as was Malachi, and because he's an upcoming actor as well, and so I could kind of sort of I could see what a new actor, because if you look over his kind of acting history, some of the sort of most prominent stuff in the recent years, like for television, and so to be alongside somebody very sort of relatively new and upcoming through the industry as well, but getting to that next level, and then opposite that is as you said, Stephen Graham. Watching this guy work was phenomenal. Absolutely focused. Anybody that's worked with him, he's 100%. But the amount of discussions with the director and other people involved, like stunt coordinators, and just he has a clear idea. He has an idea of what he wants, but he also bounces off of a lot of people. So open-minded and willing to listen to alternative ideas. So not so focused that nobody else's opinion or input is of any use. It was amazing to watch, really, and spent a couple of weeks on set watching him work, and the director, because the show's broke up into two seasons, long story short, and the director on each episode is a different director. So he's think about it. Yeah, he's working with somebody different on every episode. So that must just take a lot. Just
understanding the vision.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So just that sheer focus, that being grounded, humble. There was a lot of humility around these people. And
there's a lot of things that I guess you have with you yourself, and once you see that in other people, you can just auto check that. I got this, and these are the something that I'm also on a good track. You just auto check yourself. Okay, these are the qualities that I have, and I guess some qualities are really good to have what these people have, and there's something that what you have is insider tip or tips that you get from working with these guys, because you get to know how this guy breaks down thing, or how he approaches to particular moment, or how he think differently to approach for a character or for a situation. And that's what I guess you got from working around with these guys, where how he is showing this, I can also apply this when I'm in certain situations. So I guess that's one thing that you grab every time you work with some people who are really good at their craft, and that's what you can use it later. I guess that's where it helped you, and it's going to help you. And there's something that you also have, the qualities which is necessary, where you think, I'm on good track, or these are something great people, or people who are doing some things at excellent level follow, and I'm following that too. So I guess that's really good for you, and something that you also have an insider tip bank. What we can say,
definitely.
You can just pick that up.
Stored in the bank. I think if I can refer you because I was watching your interview with Wayne, who also was and I've not worked with Wayne, sorry, and I hope so, because we communicated a couple of times on the
Oh, so you
social
guys know
media.
each other?
We know each other on Instagram, and we've conversed
Oh,
just briefly, but it was mainly around the Knights of Avalon brought us in more of a
oh,
connection,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
and so. But it was one thing I caught what he was saying, and I 100% agree with.
yeah,
Basically, it's a small world in as much as also when you're working with people, you have
yeah,
you have no idea that it's such a small world in such a way that everybody's connected in some way or another. A set,
yeah.
um, and so literally just that idea of being humble and treating everybody with absolute, respect,
Oh,
and
yeah,
just common decency is priceless. If
yeah,
nobody gets anything upcoming and is thinking about getting in this industry, that's the one I took
yeah.
straight away. So yeah, it's very valuable, definitely.
Yep, yep, yep. I'm glad to hear that you know when and you guys talked along, because I had no idea. Even there's a lot of artists from UK, and I've been hearing that they know Wayne. I guess you guys do talk as a connection with each other, and you guys communicate, and that's really good part to know.
Yeah,
I'll inform Wayne that he mentioned about you mentioned about him, and
yeah,
it's good to know that. And yeah, you told me that this is particular thing that you just need to be good with people
absolutely.
anyway. Yeah, and you need to be good in the toughest situations where
Yeah,
there's make and break situation in every project where you face, where it may go a line between your self-respect and your ego, and
yeah,
you are now going to choose what you're going to do.
yeah,
That's really really tough situation, and it happens with every big projects. And
yeah,
that's where how you're going to react, how you're going to take that decision, are you going to leave, are you going to stay? And that's
yeah,
really tricky part, and it happens, and how you respond to it towards that particular situation tells more about your character, and you can certainly justify where it lied in your ego or in your self-respect part, and how you
right.
dealt with that. And that's really one part that usually happens often,
Yeah,
happens, when you're working with a big crew or big cast every time.
absolutely.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing. um, I guess 4 years in this field, right? Just
Yes.
acting. Okay.
Hmm.
So in these 4 years, I guess there was pandemic involved in 2 3 years, I guess. Uh, Big pandemic, and that's where I guess you started just before pandemic.
Yeah.
Uh, how do you think you have changed or grown as a person since you began your acting career? Because now there's a shift in the whole world approaching towards their life, like people in this world approaching towards their life after pandemic, big
Hmm.
shift. Like everything changed. The one thing that
Yeah.
people used to imagine, everything shut down, got into vain, and then something new happened. This
Yeah.
show happened. This show, for
Yeah.
example, this whole thing happened because of pandemic. So there must have been changes in your life. So how this career in this last 4 years of uh, like unbelievable transformation overall world, how this acting field, acting career has changed or grown you as a person?
Um, well, if my wife was sitting here in front of you listening to that question,
Why?
she,
What happened?
she and I have a running joke, and
Okay.
I use social media a hell of a lot more. That's an
Oh,
evident change
okay.
because I was
Okay.
a bit
Oh, okay.
for obvious reasons, and there's um, there's this there's this modus operandum, this mo in this industry. It's like there's two speeds. There's like
Mm,
standing still or quickly. It's like
yeah.
all or nothing. And so
Mhm.
the lack of potentially the lack of notice and preparation or time between projects or
Yeah.
notice of work is so random. So I've really had to develop the idea that it's not hard and fast. Like, okay, next week I'm at work doing this because that's my
Yeah.
day job. It's
Uh,
like next week I have no idea what I'm doing because I have no idea what's going to come up. And
yeah.
and so there's that spontaneity. And I think if you're not
Yeah.
really used to living that way, that's one thing. So yeah, my wife,
Mhm.
the kind of going joke is that she says, acting's changed you, in a joking way. And so she
Oh,
keeps
wow.
me grounded, which is great.
Yeah. Ah,
And
okay. Okay.
so just the management of time, just the idea
Mhm.
of a calendar, and
Yeah.
the variation of it has
Mhm.
has kind of developed for me
Yeah.
a lot more kind of tolerance and
Yeah.
patience, and
Mhm.
just open-mindedness in this idea that as well as it's kind of developed a degree of confidence, I guess, over the last
Mhm.
number of years.
Okay.
And on top of that, it's the whole sort of it's the dismissal of a job, the withdrawal of
Yeah.
a part, or the work that's just cancelled. and
Yeah.
and so just it's interesting because it's a funny thing when I get something that I'm absolutely desperate to work on,
Uh-huh.
invariably something shifts or doesn't quite work out. And it's
Yeah.
it's almost like the universe. It's you know what I'm saying. Karma's
Yeah.
a strange thing.
Okay. I get it. I get it. I
And
get it.
it's the same when you go into castings or auditions.
Yeah.
It's almost like
Yeah.
a director or a casting can smell that desperation. They know you want this job, so you're probably not going to get it.
Yeah.
As opposed
That's
to
it.
like whatever, I'll just do
Oh,
the
yeah.
best. And I'm not interested in this because I'm
Oh.
so busy. And it's like, I mean,
And then
that's a
it
very
comes to
sort yeah. I mean, you'd like to think,
yeah.
but not to take
But
away
yeah,
from
I get it.
anybody's efforts,
Mhm.
and but it's a whole range of facets that I've been exposed
Yeah.
to and I've had to develop, just to name a
Mhm.
few, as I was saying. Um, and so I've become a little bit thicker skinned, and
Yeah.
just a little bit more tolerant, and the ability to just roll with situations
Situations. Got it.
is something that I've developed, I guess, over the years. So yeah,
Got it.
that's
One thing
how
I
I've
got from
changed.
you is, yeah, there's uncertainty in this business.
Oh yeah,
There's that's one thing I guess changed a lot of things inside you. You
yeah,
got patient, you got tolerant, you know how to deal with the situations, and you came to know, okay, something when I think, okay, this is going to happen, and it doesn't happen.
right,
And sometimes I just avoid, oh no, I have things, and that's where the things actually happen.
yeah,
So that for a certain uncertainty, you got to know about it of this
yeah,
business, because
yeah,
otherwise it was very good for you for 9 to 7, 9 to 5 job kind of things. And this is completely different. 1 week you have a lot of things to do,
yeah,
completely busy, and then you have a lot of rest days where you
yes,
have nothing.
yes,
Okay,
periods
that's
of
one.
time.
Yeah, I get it. I got it.
Yeah.
uh Now here's the thing. How do you balance nowadays the work life and something when uh, spending time with your family or just being around? How's the work life balance for you? How do you maintain time? How
Uh,
do you keep yourself fresh and available at this age? It's really tricky at this stage to be active every single day, or to
yeah.
have the same energy that you had, and you have to carry on that particular energy. What do? You do meditation, any yoga, or any kind of exercise that keeps you active and you are really fresh on that particular day on set? What's the thing with you?
Yeah. I actually I have a process of meditation that I practice in the morning and in the
Okay.
evening. So it kind of
Hmm.
bookends the day, and I've been doing
Okay.
that in actual fact for 20 years. So it
Wow,
was it
20
was something
years.
that that's really lent itself to this industry. Well, let's face it, it lends itself to anything in my life. Is
Yeah.
the bottom line. And so yeah, I kind of set the day up and always make the time, whether or not it's a ridiculously early call time, a late call time. My day starts with a number of readings, a process of thought, just quieting and just contemplation, and I go through that process, which usually takes about half an hour every day.
Mhm, mhm.
And so that aligns me, my thoughts, my day up ahead,
Okay.
and I have a general idea which has really kept me in good stead, as well
Got
as being very much a contributor to the same
control.
process
Oh,
and idea at home. And we always make time. And I've practiced what I call date night with my wife for 20
wow,
years. Yeah. So regardless, we do
that's good.
something at least once a week, every week
Uh,
without fail. And so these are the things that have just kept that
Keeps
structure.
things active, yeah, and
Exactly.
connected
Um,
every
and
time.
yeah, exactly. Sometimes work comes up. It's like, right, there's a week. You have to commit
Mhm.
to a week on set or whatever,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
and so that happens, but
that's
it's not as
great.
often. I mean, it would
Mhm.
be nice if
Yeah.
it happened a lot, but it's not so much that there isn't some quality downtime, as you've
Yeah,
said. There's periods,
yeah.
and so it's
Mhm.
just making sure you do something during the periods that you're not
Yeah,
busy, and
just
just to
just living the moment.
balance, balance
Creating
the
a
books.
moment. Yeah, yes. And it's important. It's important, very
Absolutely,
important.
yeah,
Otherwise, there's a thing that happens is the things that we do and we love, if we keep on being at that same aura, it gets polluted by our own thoughts, which brings negativity, and we ourselves hate that thing for the thing that the reason why we came into that whole reason goes away. And then something, because we are just continuing being in that same space, can bring some negative energy, which will make sure that we leave that place. And that's why this other thing, that having a mental balance, and the balance between personal life and then professional life, the balance that you have with the power of meditation and spending time with your families, also having a date night with your wife every week or every month you have, and that's fantastic. That's what keeps you alive and fresh, energetic. At the same time, you got good being in the situation kind of quality. Just be in this moment, just be present at this particular point. That's one thing that you got from that, and that's really good. That's really good.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing. This is something I'm going to ask you, where there was a mix shift in your life, the biggest shift that happened, that really transformed a lot of things, elements inside you and your body and your brain. What was the biggest setback that you went through, and how you overcome that?
Biggest setback in life?
In life, not related to acting, overall in life, that really changed you as a person, and how you overcame that.
I guess the biggest setback, well, it kind of culminated in one period. There was a period where I was heavily into drugs and alcohol, and it was pretty much ruining, smashing everything of any value to me. And this was,
how old were you?
20, from approximately mid to late 20s, this period. And so this was a progressive sort of period where there was a lot of destruction, and so turning round and coming out of that, with a lot of help and a lot of structure and process, and not returning to that. And that was a very definitive turning point for me. It's almost like a life of two halves. There was this life before reaching the age of 29, and then there was this life from that point onwards, and it continues. And so two radically different existences for me. So that fundamentally was the biggest. And throw into the mix there divorce and all sorts of other wreckage that falls out of life and situations. So
how you recovered? What was the thing that made you recover from drugs specifically, and alcohol? What was that?
Basically,
that makeshift moment.
There's a lot of great 12-step fellowships out there, and one specifically that assisted me, and I continue to stay very closely connected with. So that fundamentally is the biggest contributor to facilitating that change and that development. I mean, I haven't taken a drink in 24 years, and I'd like to keep it that way, a day at a time.
That's good. That's really good. That whole thing that just got outside your mind, and there's no thought of having that, and that's really best control over the whole thing of wanting to have that. Just that's really it needs different kind of energy and mindset to not even think of it, completely put outside of your mind, and then continue, because that's what is needed to live.
Definitely.
And I guess that's what you won in that particular period. That's the biggest win that you had, at not having a thought of it.
That was a dark period.
Period. Okay. And you went through a divorce, right? That also was maybe like kind of break you, put you into more darker period, or something that's shatters you in very different way. And once you're go on.
It was just a very, very dark and just depressive time, and for a lot of other people as well, because I'll be honest with you, when you're kind of in that, Ajay, you're not a lot of fun to be around. So everybody around
how you used to react?
suffering.
You used to be quiet, or you used to get angry? What was your thing of dealing, like you personally?
I never really got angry. I don't particularly burst outward often. When I do, it's rare. But even when drinking, I just used to be an idiot. Is the best way of describing it. Just a bit of a buffoon, and just silent a lot of the time. But it was withdrawn. Just nice to be around.
Got it. That's where I guess you told me about the suicidal thoughts that you had. I guess that this was the period that you're talking about.
No, not for me.
No,
No, that never crossed my mind.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I thought
No.
you were also around these thoughts.
No,
Oh,
that came in
that's
work.
good.
I dealt with a lot of suicides in two
Okay.
places on the tube. Whether or not it was dealing with the aftermath, dealing with the
Okay.
what's left
What
behind
happens?
primarily, and then I volunteered on the Coast Guard for a year and a half, and
Okay.
you would also come across people that have done the same thing, commit suicide, or people that are intending on committing
Yeah.
suicide. So you'd spend a lot of time with emergency services in that area, and we'd be primarily on the cliffs, which is where a lot of people kind of go.
Thank you for clearing that up for me. Thank you.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, and now we are at the end of this particular interview. But here's the one thing: I was looking to ask you, but I was keep on I kept forgetting. But now I'm going to ask this question. You appeared in Napoleon, recent release film. There was very short seconds of you, but how you reached there? What was that like? How you got shortlisted, and what was the journey from how it happened? Just tell me.
I can't say that there was any process, because that fundamentally was.
No, I'm not talking about process here. I guess
no, the process of being on that screen in that film
just tell me.
was simply a chance opportunity, because at the time, because that was filmed I think 2 years ago almost. And so I was doing, as I said, what we call support artist, background extra work as well as acting. And for the experience, it's great. And so I was on set for a couple of weeks on that particular film, and it was great because I was up close and watching, Ridley Scott and Joaquin Phoenix working, and other good actors. And I was put in that scene, and you never have any idea as to whether or not you'll even make the cut. But it turns out that particular cut, it was quite a featured scene for me. So there's no mystery.
Facebook.
It was chance. That's I mean, if you speak to anyone in this industry, a lot of what happens is to the extent naturally craft and ability, but also who you know, what you know, the network you roll in, and the opportunities. So it's
that's
a real
also
mixture.
one skill that you need to have.
Absolutely. I mean, if you definitely want to kind of advance, I've learned. Going back to the previous question, what have I learned and developed as a result of an actor? Had to hustle. But to be fair, being from East London, that wasn't a stretch. Hustling,
and
hustling
I
kind
guess
of came
the
natural.
way you started, it was like very usual to you. Okay, I know the process of hustling.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely. You're used to it. It's not like this is the different grind that I have to do. It was usual for you. This is how I started, man.
Exactly. Yeah, and I'm still doing it in my 50s.
Yeah, you're doing, and I guess that's why you are very calm at this stage also. Like, yourself, this doesn't sound like something else that you're doing. It's regular thing that you are doing from last 20-25 years. The process, just the fields and industries have changed. Okay. So now tell me, nowadays, do you attend any workshops? What is the thing that you do to be in this exercising part of acting? Do you attend workshops, anything, or you just do personally something? What's the prep now for you? How you approach?
So I've literally, I do attend workshops and try to stay active. I've literally just begun another 10 session workshop, if you will. And so I am continually looking to, because every day is a school day, right? And I never want to get to the point, obviously, or even contemplate the idea that, I think I've got all I need to know. That's never going to happen. So I'm always keen. And so, yes, workshops I've just begun.
You do.
As well as I love self-tape auditions, that preparation, even though most of the time the chances are I may not get it, but I always see every opportunity to practice something, to develop something, whether it's an audition tape for a character that I've never done before. I probably won't get it, but it gives me a chance to drag off some lines, get to know them, learn them, and then that never gets old. The practice of retaining scripts and lines.
Just to be around.
Absolutely. Especially when you've smashed as many brain cells over the years as I have. So
yeah,
I
that's
do
true.
remain active, and I
That's true.
still
That's
I remind myself, AJ, I've been doing this for a
yeah.
fairly short period of time, and
Mhm.
I don't benefit from whether or not it would be a benefit. I don't know whether 3 years in
Yeah,
the university would have made any difference to this process, but
yeah. It's
I
needed,
find
but it's
myself,
necessary. Yeah, and
yeah,
that's really good. That's really good. You keep around things. That's just to keep your organs active,
yeah,
which is required for the acting part. Where if I just try my voice, or you just try this
yeah,
particular part, that is just an exercise that can
definitely,
be used very fastly if I grasped it in proper way. Exercise it daily. That can be
yes,
executed on the day where I get
yes,
selected for XYZ character,
yes,
and that's
and
why you
accents,
prepare. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
accents are a key thing
Yep,
that
a very,
if
very, very important key.
continue to try and develop.
You yourself sent me 4 different versions of last chapter. I guess you did
Yeah,
it in 4 different accent, and it was
yeah,
really tricky for me what to choose because every voice was perfect, and that's where I chose in between. I just made shift of I chose one part of this, then one part of that, and one part of
yeah,
this. So I made sure that I had samples, and I just made sure that I used a particular part of this, and then I combined it and I used
right.
it. Okay, yeah, great. And you keep on
And a
doing
great
this.
job you did, by the way.
Yeah,
It
thanks.
was a great season to
It
listen
was
to. So
ending. Yeah, yeah. It
well
was the
done,
ending
you.
part. It was the ending part. So I was planning for it, and you just did. We actually everyone was very good, and that's why it happened in proper way. So yeah, everyone did a great job there. Also, now here's the thing. Here's the last part of this whole podcast. Is you are someone who started very late. You started by
Mm,
accident, by something that you had no idea you were going to, or that was something that was going to happen in your life. You were something, you're kind of kid who never enjoyed studying. You're kind of that student where you didn't give any damn about the subjects and the teachers and the school. You left the school at age of 15. You're a
yeah,
mischievous kid, and that led you to take a decision where you started on your own. You started doing job at 15.
yeah,
That's where things started happening for you, cars and the things that
yeah,
was really something that you got connected with,
yeah,
and that kept you going for the thing that led you to just change the industry, where you got a new designation, you got a new job, you got a new title, which is safety coordinator, because films were booming at that period and there was requirement of that particular thing.
mm,
You saw that thing happening in front of your eyes for a very long period of time, how
yeah,
this thing is happening, how this particular thing is happening. So it gets placed on the screen, and you saw it in front of your eyes.
pretty
Now,
much.
there was a point where you thought, okay, I don't feel of doing it. I'm retiring, I guess. And now what? That's where you thought, okay, what of, because you were in this industry, there's requirement of spot boy, something that I, just go for it.
Mm,
And then there's sparkle, like, why just a spot boy? Why just as extra? If I want to do it, I'll just go all in.
yeah,
And that's where the real journey started for you. And there's a whole shift from having a proper job to having uncertainty in life, where
yeah,
you have good projects accidentally, but it really changed your whole thought process, and something that you practice now for daily, watching, observation, just grabbing those moments, just being in the moment. Make sure you are available. The meditation is now working good for you, because now it's very needed in this field,
yeah.
and everything fall in places for you. You are someone who are not going according to the script as an actor. You are pretty much just jumped in, and things really worked out, but you also worked hard for this, and subconsciously it happened. It never happened like you did something consciously. It was inside you, and that particular experiences are helping you out today in 2024 also, and also in coming years it's going to help. But there are something that you really worked hard on and implied and brought a lot of things inside you by working on your craft. Someone like you who got here in very different way, what advice you'd like to offer to the world and to the uh, aspiring artists, or to the people who are looking to be in this field? What advice you'd like to give to those guys who are just starting?
Oh, um, that's a tough question. I
It's a
mean,
simple one, by the
it is, but it's
way.
yeah, simple, but not easy to answer. And
Yeah.
I think ultimately, the key to all of this, at any juncture that I've found
Mhm.
myself, whether it's leaving school, whether it's changing careers, whether it's becoming a self-taught mechanic
Yeah.
on cars,
Mhm.
whatever, it's just literally jumping in and not being afraid to fail. I mean,
Mm.
ultimately, this may go terribly wrong. However, I'd rather have tried something and not been successful at it than not tried it and then start wondering, oh, well, I don't know, would I have been any good at that? Because that's the worst thing. And
Oh,
so ultimately, if acting's what you're passionate and you've decided that's what I want to do, and at the same point I did, had the same thought and the same inspiration, the same desire, whether it's as a kid growing up, you go through university for 3 years following this passion, or at some point in your life, like me, it just arrives and like, okay, we're going to do this. Well, if that decision and that passion's arrived, then act on it is all I can suggest. And if it doesn't go the way maybe you thought, or the way you thought it would pan out or plan out, and it didn't work for you, then I can
yeah.
quite satisfyingly say, well, I tried that. That wasn't for me.
Yeah.
However,
That's a clarity of thought you get.
yeah,
That's a big clarity that you get. And thank you for putting this thing out. And the way you said it, like, if you want something to happen, jump,
got to
and
jump.
make sure your mind is clear when you're doing it. Bring the clarity of thought.
Absolutely.
Bring that clarity that if it didn't work, if you fail, at least you know you tried it, rather than
Right.
having the thought of, oh, I wish if I did this, then this would happen. It doesn't go like that. And that's really one thing that gets applied in every part of our life, not just acting, not just think that in everything, that if you are looking that particular thing to happen, you should actually jump and make sure that,
Yeah.
okay, was this for you or not? You can only judge that by doing it, and
Yeah.
not just thinking. That's really, thank you for that powerful advice. I guess this really something that triggers here.
Yeah.
That trigger is really important. That clarity is really important. That you had, hey, let's try this. Why to have a second thought, or why to just overthink on this particular thing? Do this, then the XYZ thoughts coming on. No, jump. Make sure you have clarity when you jump, and then you decide it's good for
Yep.
you, it's not. And the one thing that you told is really good, that even if you jump, you're going to fail. If you fail, no
Yeah.
problem. You know you fail. That you
Yeah.
know that, okay, I failed now, but at least I tried. That satisfaction is
Definitely.
different. That's what clears here. Now that's really important. Once you're clear here, then you can do other things. If you're just stuck here of jumping and not
Yeah.
jumping, and that's really killer for
Uh,
you as a character in life,
absolutely.
because that makes you a decision maker in life. You make sure you make that decision right. And thank you for sharing this particular advice. It
Welcome.
really is where it will hit here for actors, not overall, but it's really the trigger
Of
part
course.
of advice that you shared. And actually that's your whole life. What you did in the life, that's what was that you just jumped and then figured out, okay, I can swim in this part, I can swim in this part.
Abs-
And then you become a good swimmer, and then you are now floating on the sea, in the ocean, and and whatever you're doing, just but
yeah.
you're a good swimmer now. And
Yeah.
thank you so much, Mark. Thank you for sharing this particular advice. Thank you for being on the show. Thank
Thank
you for
you.
being part of the Knights of Babylon project. You actually ended
Casual.
the series. Okay, I
Okay.
guess he's calling you, but we are going to
Don't,
end this.
it's
Thank
all
you
good.
so much for
Ple-
being on the show. It was a pleasure having you and talking to you. I
Thank you
guess
for
your
having me.
dog is calling you back. Can you
Let me
shut
just
it
let her
down?
out and we'll finish
Yeah,
this
yeah,
properly.
yeah,
One
yeah.
second. Hey. Sorry about that.
No,
She
no,
must
no.
have, she's
I
seen a
was,
cat or something. Anyway, but
oh, okay,
I
no
just
problem, no problem.
I just want to say thank
Yeah,
you as well, Ajay, for the opportunity on the Knights of Avalon and having
yeah,
me to speak on the podcast as well. So I appreciate that.
yeah. Thank you so
Wonderful.
much for sharing your journey. This the motto of this show, and the whole idea of doing is figuring out the journey, figuring out how XYZ artist came and what was his journey. No matter if
Yeah.
you're seeing him on screen, or if you're seeing him in XYZ films or short films, how he came here, like what was his journey, because every artist has a different journey. And
Of
today
course.
you are a big example of how things happen for you. And now you are appearing in big films and television and short films and in stage plays in
Yeah.
2024. So thank you for sharing your journey. Thank you for
Pleasure.
being on the show. It was great to know about you, and thank you very much.
Pleasure. Thanks very much. Thanks for having me, AJ. Appreciate it.
Okay. To everyone, everything related to Mark Collier will be mentioned in description, where I have mentioned a lot of links for the stories and the interviews, and every stories from different genre. You can also find a lot of info about Mark Collier and his social media handles in the description of this episode, particular podcast episode. And here we end the episode. I am Ajay Tambe, the host and producer of this show, and now I'm signing off.